Rocky Romanella is the founder and CEO of 360 Management Services LLC and author of the book Tighten the Lug Nuts. With over 40 years of boots-on-the-ground leadership experience, Rocky creates excitement through his energy, passion, and knowledge in every podcast. During his 36 years at UPS, he led one of the largest rebranding initiatives in franchising history, the UPS Store, revolutionizing the $9 billion retail shipping and business services market. He also led the integration of more than 20 acquisitions that became UPS Supply Chain Solutions and let us improve financial performance, capabilities, and global footprint. Post-UPS, he served as CEO and director for Unitech Global Services, a telecommunications company, and serves as an independent board member and advisor. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the discussion.
Do this look like work to you? Nah. Looking at the lights like it's all of this for me. Everyone tonight is here. All of this for me. Hands in the air, yeah. All of this for me. Bottles over here. All of this for me. Bottles bringing bottles, yeah. All of this for me.
Hello, and welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on HamiltonRadio.net, Channel 2, and Facebook.com/Andrew.Romanella. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I am solo dolo on The Rome Show this evening, June 8th, 2020. We will get into the reasons as to why in a moment, but we remind you, you can get in on the show, you Romo Sapiens listening, any way you want to by calling us on the line at 609-807-2492 or commenting on the Instagram or the Facebook. Instagram at Coach Romo24 or Wide World of Rome. The same on the Twitter. You know, I always got the Facebook feed up, so you can comment on that throughout the entire show. We have a jam-packed show for you today. We'll try and get it all in. For the hour that we have, we take you all the way up until the 8 o'clock hour here on The Rome Show. Baseball. There's a stalemate. Are we going to see baseball? I have no idea. The NBA coming back July 31st. That is facts. We'll start getting into the teams we want to watch and the players that might not play. A bunch of pro athletes are standing up for reasons that I feel are right, which I'm super excited about as well, and so much more in the sports world as we start to slowly spin the wheel to getting back to a normal sports world that we live in. Before we do anything, why is Andrew Romanella alone this evening on The Rome Show? Well, it's very exciting, and I'm pleased to announce that my co-host, Rocky Romanella, has had his second child. Yes, let's clap it up. Congratulations to Rocky and his beautiful wife, Jen. Their second child was born Sunday, June 7th at 9:16 a.m. Little Rocky Pasquale Romanella, possibly, and we might run this up the poll. Honestly, I think I am going to run this up the poll. The most Italian name ever conceived, Rocco Pasquale Romanella. I love it. It's fantastic. But I don't know if there's a more Italian name out there. So call us at 609-807-2492 or chime in on the social medias if you think so. Little Rocky was 20.5 inches, which is merely half the size of regular Rocky. So, I mean, that's exciting news to begin with. But I'm not going to tell you how much little Rocky Pasquale Romanella weighed when he was born, because that is today's Rome Show giveaway. Yes. Throughout the entire show today, in honor of the second child born in the Romanella family and for our co-host, Rocky Romanella, we are going to do a Rome Show giveaway, okay? You're going to win apparel of your choice up to $50 on the wideworldofrome.com website. And your contest is this, okay? You can call in at 609-807-2492 if you want to make a guess. You are not allowed to guess on the Facebook until after the 7:30 hour if nobody gets the right answer. So you are going to guess how the poundage and the ounce of little baby Rocky. You call into the Rome Show, 609-807-2492. Guess the pound and ounces that little Rocky was born at on 9/16 on June 7th. That would be yesterday for all of you keeping track at home. Call in, and you can be today's Rome Show giveaway winner, winning up to $50 worth of apparel from the Rome Show. So please tune in. Please send me your guesses. I would love to know your guesses. I'll let you know when we open it up on the Facebook as well. So let's get the show started. Okay? Let's get the show started here with our Today in History. Today in History is big in the French Open in men's and women's tennis. On this date in 2002, Serena Williams won her first French Open, defeating her sister, Venus Williams, by the score of 7-5, 6-3. As we know, Serena Williams went on to be the greatest women's tennis player of all time, at least in my opinion. I don't know if you could dispute that whole conversation for a whole nother show, but on this date in 2002, she won her first French Open. Also on this date in 2013, Serena Williams won her second French Open, that time against Maria Sharapova. And then lastly, continuing on in the French Open tennis theme, on this date in 2008, Roger Federer won his fourth straight French Open, which actually is, and he broke that day the record for the most consecutive French Opens. One, he defeated Rafael Nadal. That was in 2008. So today in history, a big day for the French Open. And as I was doing my research for this Today in History, I'm thinking to myself, why am I seeing so much on the tennis front? And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Well, that's probably because the French Open finishes on the same weekend every year. And that ends up being close to June 7th or June 8th or June 9th every single year. So this date in history. And last thing I got on that before we move on to Straight Off the Rome. Honestly, tennis is a fantastic sport. And it's probably a sport that we don't talk about enough, that the mainstream media doesn't talk about enough, but is broadcasted, especially when its majors come to play. So I am somebody that urges people to watch tennis. Now, again, on this show a lot, Rocky talks often about watching NASCAR. We are a habitual hockey watching team here. We love soccer. We talk about golf. So we are inclusive to all sports. We love all sports here on the Rome Show. But I am here today to stress the importance of you checking out the tennis, especially when it returns to action. 609-807-2492. Remember, you can call in the show today and you can win the Rome Show giveaway. What was the weight of baby Rocky when he was born yesterday, June 7th at 9:16? Call in the show and make your guesses. See if you can be the Rome Show contestant winner. Straight off the Rome today, June 8th, 2020, comes from something I said on my Straight Off the Rome last week. I made a call to all professional athletes that with the platform they had, they could invoke change. And I pleaded and I asked for professional athletes to use that platform for good and use that platform in hopes of change. Well, I sit here today and I'm pumped to say, and I'm not saying it's because of the Rome Show, although I am super pumped about the numbers that are growing in the Rome Show, and I thank you, the Romo Sapien, for watching. But I sit here today pumped about what professional athletes across the landscape of professional sports have done in the last week alone. I've been on Instagram. I've been on Twitter. I've seen numerous videos of high-profile athletes in the front lines of protest wanting change, demanding change in our country, and standing for something that they believe is right, protesting and helping push the message of change in our country. And I love it. And I think it's beautiful. And I think it's something that reminds you, and we've talked about this a lot on this show. I talk about this often on how important sports is in general, the teaching tool of sports, what it does for you in terms of life development, and in this case, what it can do to help promote change. What these athletes can do outside of just being an athlete. You know, there was a lot of debate behind the I Can't Breathe movement in the NBA a few years ago, where a writer came out and said that LeBron James just needs to shut up and dribble. Well, that couldn't have been farther from what needed to happen. And sitting here today, more than ever, we need that not to be the case. And of course, players like LeBron James and the high-profile NBA players have done so much to be at the forefront of these peaceful protests to help get the message across. Two big-time situations that I want to talk about come from Michael Jordan and the Jordan Brand, and players from the National Hockey League, not specifically the National Hockey League, but players from the National Hockey League. We'll start with the Jordan Brand. A lot of people know or probably have an idea of the statement that came out from the Jordan Brand within the last week about their stance on social injustice and their stance on the current climate in our country. Through that statement, the Jordan Brand said this: today, we are announcing that Michael Jordan and the Jordan Brand will be donating $100 million over the next 10 years to organizations dedicated to ensuring social inequality, social justice, and greater access to education. $100 million over the next 10 years, Michael Jordan and the Jordan Brand will be donating to organizations dedicated to ensuring social equality, racial equality, social justice, and greater access to education. That, to me, right there is a statement. We talked about The Last Dance. A lot of people listening to the Rome Show watched The Last Dance. One of the key aspects of The Last Dance was a moment for Michael Jordan when there was a black politician running for office in North Carolina, and Chicago, and Michael Jordan had the opportunity to back said politician, and he didn't. And the quote used was, "Republicans buy shoes too." And it was a huge, huge debate. And the core of that debate was simply this: Michael Jordan was such a superstar. He had the ability to reach such important people that the common person, the average person that wants to have a voice but can't, in that scenario was hoping to lead on Michael Jordan to help make a change. The black community and the community in general did not believe Michael Jordan stepped up when he needed to. Now, in the Last Dance documentary, we heard from Michael Jordan that he didn't believe it was his place to make a stance there. He probably, and especially with the stance he's making today in 2020, has realized now that maybe whether he agrees or disagrees with whoever's running, it's the message that he needs to get behind. And he got behind the message. And the Jordan Brand got behind the message. And there's one other thing I want to read from their statement, and I think it's true. And it's this: the Jordan Brand is more than one man. It has always been a family. We represent a proud family that has overcome obstacles, fought against discrimination in communities worldwide, and that works every day to erase the stain of racism and the damage of injustice. They then put their money where their mouth is. So to make that statement, because myself, and I'm sure everyone watching or listening, has probably seen a lot of statements made, but not a lot of action taken. Well, I want to commend Michael Jordan, and I want to commend the Jordan Brand on not only making the statements and saying the things that need to be said, but taking the action necessary to invoke change. The change that millions and millions of us believe now more than ever needs to happen, and we need to take steps forward. So kudos to Michael Jordan and kudos to the Jordan Brand. And not only that, but it's not a moment in time thing for the Jordan Brand and for Michael Jordan. It's a sustainability thing. And that's where the true change is going to come. It's $100 million over 10 years. That means in 2030, there's a huge possibility that the Jordan Brand and Michael Jordan's contributions will be continually affecting both social injustice, racial discrimination, and the black community, which is exactly what's needed right now more than ever. Kudos to Michael Jordan and kudos to the Jordan Brand. Secondly, in the NHL, and again, 609-807-2492. I'd love for you to chime in on the conversation. Get us on the Facebook, facebook.com/Andrew.Romanella if you want to chime in as well. Twitter, @CoachRomo24, Instagram @CoachRomo24. So, the San Jose Sharks, Evander Kane and Akeem Aliu, I believe I'm saying that correctly. Now, before I continue further, I want to give you a slight backstory. Akeem Aliu is a player that during the 2019-2020 National Hockey League season made allegations of racism against the current coach of the Calgary Flames, who was his then coach when he was in the minor leagues. That coach was then fired after those allegations. So Akeem Aliu has been somebody on the forefront of racial discrimination in the National Hockey League, and alongside his teammate Evander Kane, are looking to make a change in the NHL. That comes with the creation of the Hockey Diversity Alliance. The HDA, as they're calling it, is an independent organization started by minorities who play professional hockey. Here is a statement that was made after the Hockey Diversity Alliance was created. We will strive to be a force for positive change, not only within our game of hockey, but within society, the players said in a letter released on Monday. Although we will be independent of the NHL, we are hopeful that we will work productively with the league to accomplish these important changes. We believe in the importance of accountability in developing inclusivity and diversity for all involved in our sport, including fans and the league office. The Wide World of Rome Twitter will retweet the letter, the official letter that was released by the Hockey Diversity Alliance. And Evander Kane is at the forefront of this, again, along with Akeem Aliu. And the alliance is essentially this. Players that are minority players in the NHL want to come together to make change, starting with their sport and hopefully spreading beyond. What I love about this is twofold. The NHL, probably viewed as a very white league without a lot of diversity, is actually a very diverse league. But it's a diverse league opposite of others. There's a lot of players from outside the United States of America. There's a lot of foreign influence in the National Hockey League. And I think it's a league that may be under the radar in terms of a sports league that people believe can help change, but a league that actually could be at the forefront and may be able to do a lot of good. The second thing I love about this is that it's formed independently of the National Hockey League, which means the Hockey Diversity Alliance is going to be strictly run by the players, how the players want it, and the message is going to be the message that the players want to get out. To me, that is as powerful as it gets. Now, we give the NHL credit. They just announced that they're forming its own committee to address diversity and racial issues in the sport. So, back to Evander Kane's original message. Although we are independent of the NHL, we are hopeful to work productively with the league to accomplish these important changes. So the NHL, to me, looks to be at the forefront of making sure they are doing what is necessary in their league to help promote change. Kane would go on to say this: in creating our alliance, we are confident we can inspire a new generation of hockey players and fans. We are hopeful that anyone who puts on skates or sits in the stands will do so without worrying about race, gender, or socioeconomic background, and will be able to express their culture, identity, values, and personality without fear of retribution. And that right there is the statement. And I don't think that that's a statement that needs to be made for the National Hockey League. I think that that's a statement that needs to be made to everybody. And I want to read this one line again, because to me, when reading this story and learning about the Hockey Diversity Alliance, this stood out to me as the message. And again, it's not just the message for the NHL. To me, it's the message for everybody, and it is this: we are hopeful that anyone who puts on skates or sits in the stands will do so without worrying about race, gender, or socioeconomic background, and will be able to express their culture, identity, values, and personality, keywords here, keywords, without fear of retribution. The fact of the matter is, people, at 7 p.m. every Monday, I get to come on the Rome Show, and I get to spew to you whatever I feel, whatever I want to say, however I want to say it. I can express myself any way that I want to in any nature. And you can form your opinions in any way you want to. That's the beauty of the world we live in. But when people have to, as Evander Kane puts it, live in fear of retribution for being who they are, expressing their values, their identity, their personality, expressing their culture, that's a problem. That's a real problem. To me, we should be beyond this. So in conclusion, to finish today's Straight Off the Rome, I commend the NHL. I commend the Jordan brand. I commend the NBA, who's created who has created a diversity group to help change in their sport. I commend the NFL. The players came out, made a huge statement directed directly at the league and Roger Goodell on what they believe is not right and what needs to be changed. I commend all of you professional athletes. I commend the teams. I commend the coaches. I commend the owners. I commend the people that are using sport as not just a platform for a release away, but for a platform for change, for a platform to do good, and for a platform that can truly reach millions upon millions of people and help the cause that we are fighting today and are going to continue to fight every single day. So I pose this question, and I pose it to you as well. 609-807-2492. Don't forget, you can call in. Rome Show giveaway. What was the weight of baby Rocky when baby Rocky was born yesterday at 9:16 a.m.? Here's the question I pose. More specifically, when the NFL returns, but as we continue to push forward in the current climate of our country, when any sport returns, will players start kneeling again? And furthermore, if players do begin to kneel again, what will be the response from the owners? What will be the response from the leagues? Because from what I understand, the leagues have done a great job of backing their players. The leagues have shown true support for the beliefs and the wants of their players. So I think, in my opinion, it would be a huge statement if players in leagues that return begin to kneel during the anthem. Well, the story becomes that. Are we going to lose the message? And that's my biggest question. And I can't answer that question right now. I don't think any of us can. No one knows. No one knows what's going to happen when the first anthem goes off. No one knows what's going to happen when organized sports return. But the one thing that I do know is that whatever happens, the message needs to stay the same. And that's we need change. We need change now more than ever. And we need to come together as a country. We need to unify. And that's the most important thing. So we will see. I believe they will. And a lot was made of what Drew Brees said this weekend. And he backpedaled hard on his comments, and rightfully so, about kneeling for the national anthem and the disrespect for the flag. Because if everyone remembers, Colin Kaepernick brought this issue up 4 years ago. And whether you agree or you disagree on what Colin Kaepernick was doing or what you believed he was disrespecting, at the end of the day, what's happened over the last 2 weeks in our country is exactly what Colin Kaepernick was silently protesting in 2016 when he took a knee on the sidelines during the national anthem. No one wanted to listen then. Now, I do agree. Colin Kaepernick did things post-silent protest to hurt his message, wearing socks of pigs when he was playing in Miami, making certain comments, suing the league, different things of that nature. That hurt the message. But at the end of the day, at the core, what Colin Kaepernick was protesting was right, was correct, and is exactly what we're talking about today. So what happens? I don't believe Colin Kaepernick ever plays football again. I don't believe anymore that is because the NFL doesn't want Colin Kaepernick in it. I believe that's because I don't necessarily believe Colin Kaepernick's heart is in football anymore. But at the end of the day, is the league going to call him up? That'd be a pretty big statement right now. Call him up, bring Colin Kaepernick into camp, show some type of change when a lot of people believe that the NFL is the worst equipped league at this moment in time for what is going on, which is why the players directed a message at their commissioner and at their league. I don't know. If I was a betting man, I would bet Colin Kaepernick is not in the NFL ever again. I don't believe he's ever going to play football again. But I do believe for a long, long time, if not maybe for the remainder of our country's history, we're going to talk about Colin Kaepernick. We're going to talk about what he's tried to stand for, and we're going to talk about both sides of the conversation. The people that wanted to listen and the people that didn't, and the events that came after it. That is your Straight Off the Rome 30-minute edition of Straight Off the Rome. Today, June 8th, 2020. We got about 2 minutes before the break. All right, so here's what we're going to do, okay? You know, we have up to $50 of Rome Show apparel on the table right now for the Romo Sapiens out there, okay? You have to call 609-807-2492, or, because I'm feeling really generous today on this Monday, June 8th, you can start commenting in on the Facebook, okay? If you want to try and win the Rome Show giveaway. So here it is. Again, your question, Rome Show giveaway. What weight was baby Rocco when he was born yesterday at 9:16 a.m.? And for those of you that might have just been signing on to the Rome Show, it is a solo dolo Rome Show today, back to the original content, because my co-host and brother, Rocky Romanella, was blessed with the birth of his second child yesterday, still at the hospital, hoping to be released soon. So in his honor, we want you, the Romo Sapiens, to guess how much you believe baby Rocco weighed when he was born. I don't know. I don't believe you're going to get it. I hope I don't have to give hints out here, people, because there's so many numbers and combinations that you can guess. On the back end of the break, okay, we're going to dive into the NBA. We're going to give you a little bit of a rundown on who I believe are going to be contenders when the NBA comes back on July 31st. The format of the 22-team return that is supposed to be at Walt Disney World in Florida for the NBA on July 31st. Plus, we're going to dive into the MLB proposal. I got a few hot takes and my feelings on the players right now and the greediness that they have in terms of how much money they believe they should be making during a strike-shortened year. We had some fans write in on the Instagram wanting to know what my feeling is on the 2014 format of the NHL and the PGA Tour's return. Plus, it is a Rocks or Rome's movie reviews, which Rocks or Rome's anything reviews, really, which I am amped to be hosting today. I am Andrew Romanella. This is the Rome Show. We will be taking you up all the way until the 8 o'clock hour. It is time for us to pay some bills. We will be back after we do so.
Rocky Romanella is the founder and CEO of 360 Management Services, LLC, and author of the book, Tighten the Lug Nuts. With over 40 years of boots-on-the-ground leadership experience, Rocky creates excitement through his energy, passion, and knowledge in every podcast. During his 36 years at UPS, he led one of the largest rebranding initiatives in franchising history, the UPS Store, revolutionizing the $9 billion retail shipping and business services market. He also led the integration of more than 20 acquisitions that became UPS Supply Chain Solutions and let us improve financial performance, capabilities, and global footprint. Post-UPS, he served as CEO and director for Unitech Global Services, a telecommunications company, and serves as an independent board member and advisor. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the discussion.
All right, welcome back into the Rome Show here, June 8th, 2020. I am Andrew Romanella. We are broadcasting live on facebook.com/andrew.romanella, hamiltonradio.net, channel 2. You can get us on the Instagram and Twitter at Coach Romo24. You can chime in on the Facebook, or you can call us at 609-807-2492. We are still waiting for the right answer on the Rome Show giveaway. What was the weight of baby Rocky Pasquale Romanella when he was born yesterday at 9:16 a.m.? You can write it in on the Facebook. You can chime in on other social media venues. You can call the show. Whatever it is, get us in. The winner of the Rome Show giveaway today will win $50 of apparel to the Rome Show. That's what you're choosing, by the way, people. It's not like I just go and I choose $50 worth of stuff and I send it to you. No. You go over to wideworldofrome.com. You click the Squad Locker store. You pick up the $50 worth of apparel. Tell the Rome Show, and we will send it to you. It's as simple as that. You just got to guess the weight of baby Rocco. Until then, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about the NBA. So here's the deal. The NBA approved a 22-team format that's set to resume play on July 31st. Now, Rocky and I talked a little bit about this last week, and we were super pumped about the proposal for the NBA, and we felt like the NBA was very close to reaching a deal. Rocky was not a fan of every team being involved. I was. I lost. The NBA wasn't a fan either. What they did was they took 22 teams, 13 from the Western Conference and 9 from the Eastern Conference, okay? Whatever teams were within 6 of the 8th place playoff spot, which, of course, because the West in the NBA is normally a little bit heavier than the East, the West has more teams. So here's how it's broken down, okay? Each team will play 8 more regular season games. That's all 22 teams. If the 9th place team, okay, this is where it gets tricky, because essentially what the NBA is trying to do is get to its traditional 16-team format while also having a regular season. There's also a play-in format. That is this. If the 9th place team is within 4 games of the 8th place team after the completion of the 8-game regular season, there will be a play-in series between the 8th and 9th place teams to advance. The 9th place team must win 2 out of 3, while the 8th place team must only win 1 out of 3. So there's a lot to digest there. And to simplify the whole thing, essentially it is this. They're allowing the teams that are outside the playoff hunt when the traditional NBA season would have ended to battle their way into essentially the NBA's version of the MLB wildcard, except it's going to be a sort of series as opposed to a one-game play-in game. I do like the advantage to the 8th place team. I think that is very fair, especially when you're talking about the 9th place team having to be within 4 games of the 8th place team, which kind of shows you the bottom end parity or lack thereof in the National Basketball Association. So let's break it down even further. Who are we talking about here? What 22 teams are in the NBA's July 31st 22-team start? Well, I'll give you the breakdown right now. The Bucks, the Lakers, the Raptors, the Clippers, the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Jazz, the Heat, the Thunder, and the Rockets. Those are the top 10 teams returning for the 22-team restart. So those top teams, those 10 teams I just listed off right there, are the heavier end of favorites to win the National Basketball Association championship. The remaining 12, the Pacers, the Sixers, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, Nets, Magic, Blazers, Pelicans, Kings, Spurs, Suns, and Wizards. Okay, let's break that down a hair further. Two things here for me that I think stand out. One, the Blazers were only one team, the only team to vote against the NBA's comeback to a 22-team format with a miniature regular season. Surprising, because this is a team that went to the Western Conference Finals last year, and a team with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum are a primetime team. Now, they're sitting 29-37 right now, and they got to make a push to get to what we just talked about as essentially the NBA's wild card round. Can they do that? I don't know. But what surprises me is that they would vote against this 22-team format when really it's almost like a rebirth on their opportunity to make the playoffs. I think had the league trended towards full finish of regular season, I don't know if Dame Lillard and the Blazers are in the postseason. So that's the first thing I found really interesting. Why they'd vote against it, I have no idea. But now it brings the question of, will they be motivated? I have no idea. We'll find out. The second thing I think is interesting is Greg Popovich has been in the playoffs the last 20-plus years as the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. Had the season continued and finished in a traditional 82-game regular season, I don't know if Greg Popovich and the Spurs make the postseason. I don't. It was trending towards they might not. Now, with this 22-team revamp of the NBA, so be it maybe a smaller chance, there's a serious opportunity for Greg Popovich and the Spurs to continue that playoff streak. A playoff streak that I think, in my opinion, is one of the greater playoff streaks because San Antonio is considered a small market team and a team that with the Lakers and with the Celtics and with some of these other franchises, the Heat when LeBron was there, the Golden State Warriors the last 5 years, has every single year found a way to be in it and for a long period of time was considered one of the top two teams in the National Basketball Association. So that is a huge storyline for me going into this whole restart of the NBA. So where does the league sit in terms of the teams that have a realistic chance to win the championship? Well, I'll tell you this. The Lakers, the Bucks, the Clippers, and the Raptors, in my opinion, are the four teams that we should be talking about here, okay? Right outside that top four, I have the Nuggets and I have the Celtics, okay? I'll break them down for you real quickly. Giannis Antetokounmpo quite possibly could be, will be, and has been the National Basketball Association's most valuable player. Will that continue? I have no idea. But what has happened in Milwaukee is beautiful. Between Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, and some others, the Bucks have become a team that, when Antetokounmpo was a rookie, won 15 games and is now what we all consider a primary contender in the National Basketball Association. Can they sustain that? I don't know how deep the Bucks are. I know they have a good 7-8 man rotation, okay? I know they have some shooters outside. I just mentioned their three core guys. Do they have enough? I don't know. The other concern I have is the experience, the playoff experience. If the Bucks don't, in my opinion, reach the finals, I feel like it could be considered a failed season, especially when you're fighting a free agency of Giannis Antetokounmpo at the end of next year, where if Milwaukee's not continuing to be a contender, will Giannis want to stay? Well, I think this year is going to go a long way to determining that factor because they have a real shot at winning this title. And of the teams in the 22-team format, in my opinion, they're one of the top two teams there. That leads us to the LeBron James-led Lakers. This is a team that hit its stride before this whole pandemic thing ended. They were cruising. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, a cast of characters including Dwight Howard and Rajon Rondo and Danny Green were starting to make noise. They were the West's best team. They were proving that what was going on in Los Angeles on the Lakers side of things was working. Will that continue? Most likely. However, I question their depth. I don't know how deep the Lakers are. I don't know how deep their bench can go. I also just listed off a few aging players. Has Rajon Rondo won a title? Yes. Has Danny Green won many titles, including last year with Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors? Yes. Has LeBron James won many titles? Yes. But they haven't done it together. And all of them are in the back nine of their career. Throw in Anthony Davis, a guy that, in my opinion, has proven can't be a guy that solely takes his team to the championship. That can't be a guy that leads his team over the hump. But he can be a guy that is a superstar on a team with other superstars, which is where Anthony Davis finds himself right now. Will this be the year? Will he step up in the playoffs? Because he's always been a great performer. He just never has been able to get his team over the hump. Now with LeBron James as his sidekick, I think there's a real opportunity for Anthony Davis to secure his first ring of his career. So outside the number one team in the West and the number one team in the East falls the Clippers, the Raptors, the Nuggets, and the Celtics. The Clippers, I think, have a fantastic shot at this. In reading up a lot about the Clippers and what Doc Rivers is trying to instill in his players, this has been the year where they believed they could get over the hump and win the franchise's first title. Why does this 22-team shortened, in a way, season? Because remember, there were really only 15, 16 games left in some of these team seasons. So playing 8 regular season games and then going into a playoff format is almost as close to finishing your season as you could possibly get. So for me, the NBA is in a great situation with this whole comeback of their league. The Clippers, I think, are in the best situation. Why? Because they weren't healthy all year. Now they've gotten a chance to rest up for 3.5 months and come back with a completely fresh team. And may I remind you that Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Lou Williams are just a few that make up the Los Angeles Clippers. So I don't know, people. This could be the year. And oh, by the way, throw in this statistic. Call a Romalytic if you'd like. The Clippers bench averages an NBA best 51.5 points per game this season. There's only been one other team in the NBA's history to ever average above 50 points per game. And you know who that was? That was the 2018-2019 Los Angeles Clippers. So what that tells me is they have the best 6th through 10th man in the league, and they quite possibly have 2 of the top 10 players in the league. They definitely have one of the top 3 players in the league in Kawhi Leonard, no doubt. But depending on where you rank Paul George, in my opinion, I might consider 2 of the top 10 players in the league in their starting rotation. So watch out for the Los Angeles Clippers. The Boston Celtics, I don't know. Because they started to come together. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown really started to come into themselves, come into their own as key players, not only for the Celtics, but as key players in this league, big-time players in this league. Kemba Walker wasn't healthy early. Now has the chance to be healthy and is a leader and can be a serious impact player on the Boston Celtics roster. I don't know what can come of the Celtics. They're a team that I look at and I say, yeah, they're going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then I say, well, if they play Philadelphia in the first round, who they played terrible against all year and is currently the 6th seed while Boston sits as the 3 seed, I don't know. They could lose in the first round. So for me, the biggest coin toss going into this playoffs in terms of the top 4 teams that I believe could win it are the Boston Celtics, because I think the Clippers, the Bucks, and the Lakers all have way more surefire situation than I think the Celtics have. Now, that's just my opinion. The numbers may say differently. Oh, and how about this? Your Romalytic today, June 8th, 2020, comes to you from the Boston Celtics. I love this statistic. I love statistics in general to a degree because some of them are so obscure and they're so funny. And it's like, this is great. So how about this Romalytic for you? The Boston Celtics average 93.4% of their points from players that are under the height of 6'8". Let me say that again. The Boston Celtics score 93.4% of their points from players that are 6'8" or under. Now, you might sit there and say, that's actually hilarious. Like 6'8" is actually super ridiculously tall. So what are you talking about? Well, in the NBA, 6'8" is probably closer to an average size. So I think I might be a Boston Celtics fan just because the short people of the NBA are getting theirs in the green and white. So 93.4% Boston Celtics points from short dudes by NBA standards, and I love that. A few more things on the NBA before we finish up. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. Watch out for the Miami Heat. That's my sleeper heading into this 22-team revamp of the NBA. Why? Multiple reasons. Eric Spoelstra is a championship-winning coach. He has proven to the masses that he didn't need just LeBron James and Dwayne Wade to be a winner. Now, has he won a title since then? No. Okay, I get that. Being a winner and winning a title in the NBA are actually two different conversations, because winning a title in the NBA oftentimes comes down to what type of quote-unquote super team you might have assembled. But being a winner in the NBA comes down to teams like the Miami Heat, teams like the Utah Jazz, being habitual 4 through 8 seeds, making the playoffs, and giving their fans something to watch when postseason basketball comes around. I really believe this is a team to watch out for. The other reason, Jimmy Butler will be fully healthy, and Andre Iguodala has won a Finals MVP. You put those two together, you could be a force to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference. Before we continue on, I see that we have a caller on the line. I hope that this caller is calling in to guess Rocco's weight. If not, that's completely okay. Caller, give me your name and why you're calling the Rome Show.
What's going on, Romo? It's Rory. How we doing?
Rory, what's going on, man? Thanks for calling the show, dude.
I know Rocky's not on, but I'm just wanting to wish him congratulations, and I want to guess the baby's weight.
Okay, give me your guess.
Huh?
Give me your guess.
All right, so Rocky seems a little dense after I met him. I'm going to go with 9 pounds, 3 ounces.
That is incorrect, but can I tell you that you are so close?
Really?
What I will do for you, Rory, is I
right,
will FaceTime you after the show ends if no one gets the answer before the show ends.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to hearing it. All right, man. Well, you have a good rest of the show. I'll talk to you soon.
Roar, I appreciate you chiming in, dude.
Thanks
9 pounds,
I'll talk
3
to you soon. I'm
ounces.
just playing some Warzone with Steve. You can only imagine how that is.
Oh, gosh, Steve, habitual caller of the Rome Show. Probably terrible communication skills on the Warzone, if I had to guess.
He'll probably guess the baby's weight extremely wrong, too.
2 ounces and 3 pounds.
Oh, I thought we were talking about something else.
For those of you that don't know,
All right,
Rory and I have been on the Rome
I'll
Show together,
the
and
show.
Steve is called into the Rome Show, and we've actually forgotten that Steve was on the line. So that might give you just a little bit of insight on what we're talking about here.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, Romo.
All right, Rory, thanks, man. 9 pounds, 3 ounces. The first Rome Show giveaway guest Guess, excuse me. I gotta say it's a great guess. I don't want to say any more because I don't want to give away to the people how much the baby does weigh. But I want to remind you that with 10 minutes left in the show, $50 worth of apparel to the Rome Show is on the table. Nobody has guessed the weight of Baby Rocco yet. So type them in to Facebook.com. Heck, I'll even take text message nominations. Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, $50 to the Rome Show on the line if you can guess the weight of Baby Rocco Pasquale Romanella. To finish up the NBA, the Heat, Jimmy Butler, Andre Iguodala, and a rising star in Bam Adebayo, who I believe will continue to show how great of an NBA player he is. So watch out for the Miami Heat. I think the NBA is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun over the next 5.5 weeks to break it down. And I'm super pumped that the league is coming back and kind of giving everybody what they always wanted from the NBA, which is just the postseason. I mean, we've talked about it so often that all of us really just care about the NBA postseason probably more than we do the regular season, and now we have a chance to get it. Which brings me to the Major League Baseball. I'm not happy. I'm just going to say it. I'm not happy. I want baseball back. I'm tired of negotiations. I'm tired of the players wanting more money, and I'm tired of this narrative about making sure we get the money that we play for. Rocky said this last week, and I'm going to reiterate it. No one was, well, some players were, and some organizations did look to defend the minor leaguers and help them out, the ones that were released. But are the players that are complaining about their $14 and $15 million instead of $8 to $9 million, are those players helping those 30 to 50 minor leaguers that were released last year? Are those players thinking about the majority of Major League Baseball that doesn't have that first world Major League Baseball issue of making $30 to $40 million a year? Could maybe for a quick second, Major League Baseball players, we could stop and say, I wonder if it's more important to get baseball back than if it is to make the oodles and oodles amounts of money that we could be making or believe we should be making. Now, another caller's on the line, and this is a caller that I think might have a big-time opinion on this, but he's kind of the man of the hour. From what I understand, Rocky Romanella is on the line, co-host of the Rome Show. Rock, thanks for calling in, dude.
What is up, Andrew Romanella?
How we doing?
We're doing great. Baby Rocco just came back from the nurse's station, just got all cleaned up, getting ready to come home.
That is exciting. Do you know that we have a Rome Show contest going on right now? Guessing the weight of Baby Rocco Pasquale.
Yeah, I heard, and I had the opportunity to tune in when Rory called, and I just wanted to say thank you for the dense compliment and just let him know that I've been averaging 100 push-ups a day while I'm in this hospital room for the last 4 days.
Well, so is that something that you would like to, teach your son, the importance of doing push-ups and, keeping the body dense?
Oh, obviously. I brought my yoga mat to stay loose and stretching and fit mentally and physically, crushing push-ups, 3 meals a day, drinking water. I mean, listen, you got to start him young. Tiger Woods was watching golf swings, before he was even born.
So pretty much what you're telling me is you are prepared to be a father of 2.
Absolutely. Very excited for Rocco to meet his sister, Sophia, tomorrow.
That's super exciting. Well, all right. So while you're on the line, I have this question because I just talked a lot about the NBA coming back, Rock. Okay. And I'm going to assume that there's going to be a lot of time for you to be tuning into television at all random hours of the day and night while you're feeding Baby Rocco or taking care of Baby Rocco. And you might come across some news about how the MLB sucks right now and how the MLB and the players can't come to an agreement about whether the league is going to be played. So I ask you this while you stare lovingly at the newest addition of your family. Will you be watching Major League Baseball in the first year of Rocco Pasquale's existence?
Not until he is almost 1 year old. I don't see baseball playing.
Wow, really? Can you enlighten us more?
There's 84 days left until you get to the last day of September, which is when they would want the regular season to end. If they want to play, and that's if they start July 14th or 15th. If they started mid-July, you only have a certain number of days to play an 82-game season, which they're literally running out of time on. They have no idea how much or how little they're going to pay each other, and this has become a stoppage due to health and a global pandemic, and it's really turned into a player's strike, or you could even call it a lockout. Either way, like that's what's happening here. It has nothing to do with the pandemic anymore.
I couldn't agree with you more. And as I sit here, the MLB proposed a 76-game season back at the MLBPA today. A bunch of different numbers are thrown around, the compensation and how much the players are going to get paid, and all this different stuff. At the end of the day, Rock, one thing I think mattered to me that I think could make a difference, and it's that the MLB is going to change their draft pick compensation rule, which essentially states that if a team offers a player a qualifying offer at the end of a year, if another team signs that player as a free agent, they have to give up a draft pick for that player. That rule will no longer exist. So that's going to change for the players big time. So even though they might not be getting, quote unquote, paid what they believe they'd be getting paid, to me, that almost might be a bigger win than any dollar figure they might put in their pocket, because that could affect free agency moving forward. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's why we're not going to play this year, because I think they see that. Unless they get something that's going to affect the players positively after the pandemic's over, like what you just talked about, we won't play. So that's why I think we're not going to play, because if they don't get what they want, then why would they play? We'll just go back to normal next year when everyone knows how to be healthy. Right? But if they get that, okay, then yeah, they'll probably play. But again, like you said, it'll completely change the way they get paid and they make deals going forward.
Absolutely. I think
so. If it's,
you might see.
So if it's going to say, and by the way, I think that the NBA put itself in a really bad position by prorating their leagues in their little playoff tournament for the same reasons I just said for baseball.
And I agree, and that's something I didn't really touch on, which was the financial situation of the NBA, because I do feel like it's so different just in terms of the fact that those players played 56 or 60 games of their season or so before this whole thing happened, whereas the MLB's looking at it as we haven't played at all, so we have to find a way to make up any of the money we haven't made.
Well, yeah. So, but yeah, exactly. And MLB, the players are making a decision to try and affect their paycheck and the way they get signed and the way they sign deals for tomorrow. And the NBA made a decision to bring in 13 teams from the West and 9 teams from the East, which is going to drastically change their league for the future, in my opinion. And maybe it doesn't, but if I'm teams 10, 11, and 12 on the East Coast, I'm like, why are you leaving me out? Like, there's no reason to cut me out of this. Like, there really is no reason outside of you're either moving to a not traditional Eastern Conference, Western Conference model down the road, because why else would you do this?
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up. And we've talked a lot about the NHL's format and how we believe they did choose it right. So we had a fan write in, Rock, and they said, do you like the NHL's 2014 format, which we've both obviously agreed we do like it. Phase 2 open today. NHL teams could return to training camp. So when you look at the NBA's proposal and you look at the NHL's proposal, they kind of mirror each other and they kind of don't. There's similarities and there's differences. Of the two of them, and I want you to take your hockey bias out of it for a second, just straight up success in terms of two leagues that cut their seasons before they were able to finish. If you had to say one would be a more true champion or the other, do you believe there is that, or do you think both leagues, when granted, will hand out their championship trophy, those teams are warranted and there's no asterisk needed?
I think from a championship standpoint, it's probably even, because I think the teams that were going to be there are going to emerge anyway. I think you give your Cinderella stories that make runs at the end of the year. In both leagues, you've given them a chance. What I think will be the biggest difference in the championships is, how they got there, and the NHL taking a stance that really mirrors what they typically do. They've just adjusted based on, the time, whereas the NBA really made a decision that said, listen, we know the West is better than the East, and we're going to prorate the league that way because it's going to give us the best chance to play better games. So, moving forward at the GM and the ownership meetings, is that going to come up? Like, well, maybe we should restructure the league, because if that's the case, then we should be doing that at all times. And now I can bring in my relegation argument again.
That's a great point. And you love the relegation argument. Well, Rock, listen, as you know, we are up against it since the show technically does end. We call it around the 8 p.m. hour. But, dude, obviously, I'm super amped because I have another nephew. But from the Rome Show family, we've had some callers call in. People are commenting on the Facebook. Ruben mentioned something before the show as well. It's a huge congratulations to you and Jen. The Rome Show community is amped to meet baby Rocco Pasquale, and we'll see if they can guess the weight correctly.
Yep, I'm excited. Thanks for all the love. We appreciate it.
All right, dude. Thanks for calling.
Later. You got it.
People, you don't really know how much you miss your co-host till your co-host calls in. It's just like that. I looked up when he called in. I'm like, oh, nice. We got like 12 minutes. All of a sudden the show's like over. And that's how quick it goes when you're talking to somebody that's got a good opinion and you enjoy talking to. He makes some really good points about the NHL, makes some really good points about the NBA and the MLB and where the players stand, and the fact that, who knows, we might not see Major League Baseball this year. The last thing I got for you today on the Rome Show, and it'll be a quick one. It's supposed to be Rock's reviews. Today it's Ange Rome's reviews. And I'm reviewing The Office. And I'm going to say this. I've never watched The Office in succession. I said this last week. Why it is so beautiful is because it is a show that you could watch randomly, but also can truly enjoy watching from start to finish. Michael Scott might be one of my favorite characters in television. This is easily one of Steve Carell's top 3 performances, in my opinion, in his career. And The Office is laugh out loud funny. Like, it is things that you wish would go on in your office, but don't go on in your office. But you sit there going like, but do they go on in my office? And it makes you question some of the things that you do at work. And it makes you question some of the conversations that you have at work, whether they're appropriate, they're not appropriate, whatever the case is. But I highly recommend The Office. And I don't just recommend watching The Office. I recommend watching it from the start because the storylines are cool. It's fun to follow along. And then you truly, really do get the feel of the characters that you're watching. And it's gold. It's complete brilliance. I see why people love it. I freaking love it. So it's a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. The Office. Check it out. It's on Netflix. It's on every TV show ever, like Friends, where like you could just watch it on reruns. Watch The Office. Check out Michael Scott. In my opinion, Steve Carell, one of his top 3 characters of all time. One of the best shows I have ever seen. That will do it. We will close the book for the June 8th, 2020 edition of The Rome Show, a solo dolo version of The Rome Show. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate everybody that tuned in on the Facebook. Rory and Rocky for calling in. Unfortunately, we did not get a winner of the Rome Show giveaway, $50 worth of apparel to the Rome Show. I'll tell you, baby Rocco was 9 pounds, 5 ounces. So Rory was 2 ounces off, but I'm going to do this because Rory is a loyal Rome Show listener, called in and guessed for the Rome Show giveaway and was that close with his guess. Rory Gallagher will be the winner of the June 8th Rome Show giveaway, $50 worth of apparel to the Rome Show store. So congratulations to Rory. You are the winner. Congratulations to Rocky, to Jen, baby Rocco. Welcome to the Rome Show family. Thank you to Ruben, our producer, HamiltonRadio.net, Channel 2, Facebook, everybody. This is the Rome Show. I am Andrew Romanella. We will be back next week. But until then, we will see you later.
Rocky Romanella is the founder and CEO of 360 Management Services, LLC, and author of the book, Tighten the Lug Nuts. With over 40 years of boots-on-the-ground leadership experience, Rocky creates excitement through his energy, passion, and knowledge in every podcast. During his 36 years at UPS, he led one of the largest rebranding initiatives in franchising history, the UPS Store, revolutionizing the $9 billion retail shipping and business services market. He also led the integration of more than 20 acquisitions that became UPS Supply Chain Solutions and led its improved financial performance, capabilities, and global footprint. Post-UPS, he served as CEO and director for Unitech Global Services, a telecommunications company, and serves as an independent board member and advisor. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the discussion.
Do this look like work to you? Nah, looking at the lights like it's all of this for me. Everyone tonight is here, all of this for me. Hands in the air, yeah, all of this for me. Bottles over here, all of this for me. Bottles bringing bottles, yeah, all of this for me. You for real?
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Rube, what's up? I
Hey.
got to run to I got